I want you all to imagine you're a mother or a father sitting at home watching TV. You then get a phone call, and the caller responds by telling you your child has been in the hospital and going under surgery. You rush to the hospital, and you go to the doctor that contacted you and asked them what happened. You were then told that your child has been shot by a police officer, and they're removing the bullet as they speak. Fast forward a few weeks, there is now a huge fight going on because there's no actual evidence to pin the person responsible for what actually happened. Now I want you to imagine the same thing, but instead we now have video footage and the right person is held accountable. Thanks to body cameras, we now have that. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about how all 50 states should be mandatory to have all police officers be wearing body cameras. I'm going to talk about how they provide evidence that's undeniable in court, how it reduces the amount of use police officers use and the amount of complaints citizens file against police officers, and it's cheaper than dealing with civil lawsuits. Okay. People who would disagree with me would say that body cameras invade people's privacies. However, even though that is true, it doesn't go against any of our amendments. And on top of that, wouldn't you rather have the person who was in the wrong be held accountable? I know I would. Body cameras are made to keep police officers and citizens safe. And if that does not happen, we are sure to make the person who is in the wrong be held accountable. Back to the story that I told you. Body cameras are great to use in court because of the fact that it's undeniable. It's video footage. UT News says that most criminal cases come down to a credibility contest between the officer and the accused, basically saying it's a he said, she said. Body cameras are that additional evidence that will cause cases to be settled at a far more higher rate. The more widespread use of body cameras will cause undeniable footage being generated. In some natural cases, body cameras are the final evidence that are pieced together that will cause many other cases to get solved and convict the wrong person, or not the wrong person, the right person for the wrongdoings. A case that well illustrates this is on November 2014 in Indiana. There was just two girls who were interior designers. They were majoring at Indiana University, and they were at that apartment that day, coming back from their classes. When Valiant Glazebrook and his accomplice Michael D. Lessig had broken into the girls' apartment and had raped them by gunpoint. That is when Officer William Admerm had interrupted the crime that was being committed after he heard gunshots. Soon after, Valiant and Michael were caught fleeing the scene through a window. Valiant then shot at William, which led William to shoot back. Now, going to the court, because they, of course, you're going to have to deal with the court, the officer had presented this evidence of the footage because he was wearing a body camera at the time, which then later convicted both Villian and Michael to 109 years in jail. all thanks to body cameras. Now that we talked about how body cameras are great evidence to use as because it's undeniable, let's talk about how it helps reduce the amount of force police officers use and the amount of complaints the citizens file against police officers. IEEE Spectrum states that on February 2012, in the city of Raleigh, they had an experiment where 1,000 police officers were either put in what they called a treatment condition or a control condition. What they would do was they would send all the police officers out on their duty. They would go out for a normal day, but instead the people in the treatment condition would have to wear a body camera so that we could see how they interact with the citizens. This experiment went on for about an entire year. After the entire year, they added the data. They had collected the data that they had for the use of force and the complaints against police officers before the experiment started, and then added the data after the experiment started. And they said roughly 50 fewer incidents of force being used and 90% of reductions of the complaints against police officers. So all in all, as you can see by this graph, because this was the graph they had when they were doing the experiment, that body cameras cause a great impact on how we all live today in the police officers. Let's move on to talking about how it is cheaper than dealing with lawsuits. Police executive research says millions of dollars are being spent on each year through the settlements or people who are filing against police officers and their departments because of their wrongdoings of the unreasonable amount of use of force or just misconduct generally. But however, body cameras only cost annually $5,000 for every police officer in the department to wear. Which, if you really think about it, $5,000 compared to $1 million, you can't dispute that. Like, body cameras are better. Okay. Now that we talked about how body cameras help with provide evidence in court, and how body cameras help reduce police officers' use of force and the complaints against police officers, and how it's just overall cheaper than having to deal with civil cases. I want you all to go back to the story that I talked about in the very beginning. You guys probably don't remember it, so I'm just going to recap what happened. You were sitting at home, and you got a call saying that your son or daughter was going under surgery. You go to the hospital, and you're told that your police officer shot your child, and they are removing the bullet as they speak. They now go to court, and there was a big dispute because there was no evidence. But now, imagine you getting that call, but you feel safe and you feel that you trust into the system because of now that we have body cameras. You feel that the person in the wrong will be held accountable for what they have done. Thank you.